What's up, internet? My name's Sammy Fightmaster and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So last Friday, May 1st, Netflix dropped a whole lot of new shows and movies that have had a lot of hype to them. One of those shows that has been highly anticipated is the show Hollywood. I think it's only going to be a limited series. It's only 7 episodes right now on Netflix, and it wrapped up really nicely in the end, so I don't see it going further. But this show is from the incredibly creative brain of Ryan Murphy, who is the creator of shows like Glee, Scream Queens, The Politician. He's worked on American Horror Story, and so many other just great shows that I knew I couldn't go wrong with picking this show to watch. And just looking at the cast, it has a lot of great actors in it. It has Holland Taylor, Darren Criss, who is in Glee, which I love, Jim Parsons, Dylan McDermott, Queen Latifah, and so many other great new actors. I just knew that this show was going to be phenomenal. At least that was my anticipation and expectation going into it. For the most part, it lived up to that. There were some things that I didn't necessarily love about the show, but for the most part, I did really enjoy the show. Now, this show is set in post-World War II, late 1940s Hollywood, and revolves around 6 newcomers to the Hollywood world that are a mix of actors and screenwriters and directors. Their names are Jack, Camille, Raymond, Archie, Rock, and Claire. So the show kind of focuses mainly on those 6 and basically whatever they have to do to make it big in Hollywood. All of them have different interests and reasons for wanting to be in Hollywood, but their main goal is making it big and getting their big break. It also has a good mix of showing the lives of the Hollywood execs and how unequal things are on both ends for newcomers and for the Hollywood execs. I know it's a fiction show and not everything is accurate, I'm sure, but a lot of the things that happen have been things that we've heard to be true of old Hollywood and honestly recent Hollywood. The core 6 there, they all have different backgrounds. Archie and Camille are both African American, and it's the 1940s. There's a lot of racism going on. And Raymond is half Asian. His mom was from the Philippines. Rock and Archie are also both gay, which is definitely hard to be in the 1940s. And then Claire is a studio exec's daughter, but wants to make it on her own without help from them. Jack is kind of the main character that they focus on in like the first 2 to 3 episodes. He was in the war, came back, he's married, wants to be a movie star. And honestly, the show got a lot better after they shifted their focus from focusing mainly on Jack to focusing on everybody else. I didn't like Jack. I was not invested in his life. I thought he was really selfish and made some poor choices. I understand why he made the choices, but like, I just didn't care for him. And honestly did not care for him until the last episode, probably. Everybody else I loved. This show dealt a lot with how people used to get ahead in Hollywood and how becoming a star didn't necessarily mean that you needed to be a great actor. The show dealt a whole lot with sexual favors, a lot of quid pro quos, a lot of racism, and a lot of homophobia. And it just dealt with some big things. It dealt with some heavy things, but it dealt with them well. In my opinion, it dealt with them well. There is a big queer storyline going on, which I liked. I thought it was done very well, and it was important to tell. It showed a lot of how racism impacted 2 of the core 6 here, and how it impacted the story that they wanted to tell in Hollywood, this movie that they wanted to tell. The storylines of the core 6 and along with the Hollywood execs doesn't really entangle until probably the 3rd episode, where this movie arises that they all want to be a part of. And kind of this movie represents a new movement in Hollywood. They want to change the face of Hollywood. They want it to become a more understanding and accepting place which it's not at this point. So I don't want to like spoil the show entirely for you, because how it starts off is definitely not how it ends, which that's pretty much how most stories are, right? Duh. But in my opinion, the ending, the last 4 episodes were so much better than the first 3 episodes. It takes a minute to get invested. The first 3 episodes, you're gonna see a whole lot of nudity. It's gonna happen. The show has a lot of nudity, a lot of language in it, and deals with a lot of mature topics. There was a whole lot of sexual favors going on in the first couple episodes, and I know that stuff happened, but it made me uncomfortable, and it's probably going to make a lot of people uncomfortable, but it's important to see and hear the story of. But it takes you a minute to kind of move past that, and it'll change. It's not entirely what the show focuses on. It's not the main issue of the show. The acting was done phenomenally in this show. The acting was a high point in this show for sure. And also the scenery, the whole like glitz and glam of old Hollywood, and just the scenery, it was just fun to see and to be like wrapped up in. It was really cool. I liked it. I'm going to rate this show 4 stars because the acting was done well. The story picked up a lot by the end, but I had no interest in Jack's storyline mainly the whole time. Him as a character, he just didn't have the depth that the other characters did. It just seemed like there wasn't as much time spent on his character as the other characters. That might not be the case, but that's just what it felt like me watching. It was a great show. I definitely recommend watching it. The messages of the show I thought were so important. I think it's a definitely important show to watch, especially if you belong to a group that has been underrepresented on TV your entire life, which I do. That is like the key to a good show for me, is if the story is worth telling, if it's something that is important to be conveyed to audiences. And I think that this show definitely had that. It had several things that were important to convey. There was a big queer storyline. That is a big thing about this show, and it's not hidden. For me, belonging to the queer community, it's important for me to see, because this stuff was not always on TV. These characters weren't easy for me to find growing up when I was struggling with stuff. And now it's so much better. It's still not great, but it is better for people like myself. This show deals with that so well. In my opinion, it did. I like to see it. I was very happy. I was crying by the end for Archie and Rock. I loved them. They were my favorites the whole time because they were just so genuine and real. I loved them. But it also dealt with racism, which is still prevalent today, and shows how no matter what label is put on you, that shouldn't inhibit you from telling your story, which I thought that's important. That's important, especially to young people. I just thought that it was a really important message in the show, which is why I suggest watching it. It will take you a minute to get into the show, but I promise it picks up and it gets so much better, and the ending is just awesome. So if you've watched the show, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I'd love to hear them. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you're new around here, welcome. And I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel and then hit that bell to be notified when I post new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So that's all I've got for you today, so I guess I'll see you next time. Bye!